Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. Today, for your viewing pleasure, I have a URGI, and the topic of today's discussion will be SHTF rifles. So the reason why I would consider the URGI really almost a perfect example of a SHTF rifle is for a handful of reasons, going down to designs, materials used, and things of that nature. So starting from the tip to butt, as they say, first off we have a Surefire 4-prong flash hider that obviously is designed to accept Surefire cans and others that you get adapters for. So it's, it already comes ready to accept a can. It also works very effectively as a flash hider by itself, even under night vision and in circumstances like that, low light conditions. It does a very good job of suppressing flash. Next we have the barrel. The barrel is a cold hammer forged Geissele barrel. This particular one is a Geissele in a government profile, 14.5 with the pin and welded Surefire flash hider. I would definitely recommend for a SHTF rifle that type of scenario where you foresee yourself needing a weapon to defend yourself or your family. I would definitely want something that is cold hammer forged, just due to the almost a guaranteed longevity you're going to get out of having that cold hammer forged barrel over a long period of time. So covering that barrel is a Geissele, really, it's a nice rail. So one of the Geissele rails. This one has a cage code. I guess that's what they, for a clone, correct, for a actual URGI. A very sturdy, solid mounting platform. For in this instance, I have a Steiner D-ball and a Surefire Scout on here. So if you plan on using any type of aiming, laser module, anything like that, you need a rail with a solid lockup that's going to resist bending or losing zero for anything you put up there. Truthfully, one of the real stars of the show here is Geissele's Reliabolt. So Geissele's, I think they call it like a Reliabolt system. They use their own Carpenter 158 steel that is supposedly has less impurities than like a standard one, and the nano coating on it. It's a very, very high quality, probably one of the best BCGs and bolts combination that I have. So these are very expensive, but the theory is that, the materials used for the gas rings, the bolt, and the coating, everything like that. The idea is you're going to get longer use out of this before you have a bolt breakage. You need to replace gas rings or something of that nature. So this particular one has 4,000 rounds on it. And as you can see, the gas rings are still, it takes a lot of force. The gas rings are still functioning exceptionally well, considering, because right around the 5,000 mark is generally when I would start looking at replacing the bolt, upgrading the extractor spring and donut and the gas rings and things like that. This has been going strong, and this is at 4,000 rounds right now. It's not crazy, but that's some usage. So the next thing that I think that really makes this a solid option in relation to like a SHTF build, the Geissele triple braided spring, the Super 42 spring, I don't know if you can see that. So it's based off of the MG42 recoil spring. It's braided, and granted this is Geissele's own testing, through their testing they determined that the lifespan of this is significantly longer than a standard like a standard buffer spring or even a flat wire spring. This is just a superior design by having it braided like this. It also comes with a H1 buffer as a part of the Super 42 package, which is included with the URGI. And then going into the lower, this is a Geissele Super Duty lower that I paired with it. I like the upper so much, I went ahead and threw together a Super Duty lower. So this is using all of Geissele's own parts, with the exception of the grip. That's a BCM grip. So that's their safety, their bolt lock, magazine catch. The trigger is a LaRue MBT because that's what I put on everything nowadays. And so all of the lower parts and their lower parts kits, they are solid construction. Everything is made of stainless steel. as far as I know, in terms of springs and things like that. It's their design, at least when it comes to this, in my opinion, it's slightly over-engineered, but in a good way. This is something that I would literally, this is like a go-to-war, quote-unquote, gun, like a genuine duty rifle, like something a cop could have in his patrol car. It is a solid, reliable, it is a fighting rifle, truthfully. And there are other designs out there that you could argue are superior to what I'm discussing here in terms of like Knight's armament, LMT. There are other good designs, but the only thing, they're proprietary though in nature. Where something like this, the only thing that's proprietary about this is the gas tube, and that's because they use, like Knight's, a slightly longer than a mid-length gas tube to increase. It's a in between a rifle and a mid-length gas system. Makes a nice, very soft recoil impulse while also being nicer on your components and giving you longer lifespan. So literally, it's like the Knight stuff. Like, from my understanding, like you would have a very hard time changing a barrel on a Knight yourself. Usually, you got to send it back to the factory. This is just a standard setup where if, hey, something goes wrong, I can re-barrel it, and then that would also mitigate the proprietary gas tube length at that point. Something else that I want to mention that we haven't discussed yet, I don't know if you can see it, but if you come in here, so this is using Geissele's quote-unquote bomb-proof gas block, where it is not only does it utilize set screws, it is also pinned, so it's both. And for something very hard use, I would definitely recommend at least having a pinned gas block. That would be ideal. There are companies out there that don't pin them. BCM comes to mind, and those are notoriously hard to remove their gas blocks, so evidently whatever they put on there when they use the set screws, that seems to work. But ideally, I would like to have a pinned gas block. The reason why I would consider this almost a perfect SHTF rifle is there's almost nothing proprietary about it, minus the gas tube. But in terms of like carrier components, like standard charging handle, even though I'm using a Super 42, you could throw any carbine length spring and buffers in it, and it will still cycle reliably. So I've had this for 2 years. I put 4,000 rounds through this, 2,000 on one barrel and then 2,000 on this barrel. That is something that I need to, in the spirit of transparency, the first barrel I got from Geissele, it was a bad barrel. I'm pretty sure the chamber was cut just a little too tight, where I would have, every once in a while, I would have to mortar an empty casing out of the weapon. And I've taken it to classes, night shoots, everything, and I was actually at a night shoot, and it happened. I lent it to a buddy to let him shoot it, and then didn't cycle, and I had to literally take it and just mortar it, and I was like, that's enough. And so I sent it back in. But I will say, I personally, and maybe I'm simping for Geissele a little bit over here, but truthfully, they had been making barrels at the time for less than 6 months. Does it suck that happened? Yeah, but they were very new to it, and they had a new one installed and sent it back to me in a reasonable amount of time. So yeah, I was a little salty about it, but after a year later, it's whatever. It's a good setup, and they took care of me. But I do have to, it wouldn't be right for me not to mention that. Accuracy-wise, I haven't shot a ton of match ammo with it. I mostly shoot IMI Razor Core, just as my general purpose, like SMK round, something like that. And it prints like a 5-shot group. I want to say somewhere close to 1 MOA, probably just slightly larger. And you could probably, if you took the time to find the appropriate round, you could probably squeeze it down a little bit. The accuracy is totally acceptable though, in my opinion. It's nothing to scoff at. As you can see, I have this one set up with the EOTech EXPS3 with the 5x magnifier. This is kind of somewhat set up for a night use. As you can see, you know, it's got the D-ball on it, and then I have something I can use for passive aiming through night vision, which is something to me is pretty important in an SHTF situation. Granted, it depends on the availability of batteries and how long things would be potentially going on. I would probably offer something else that had a etched reticle, or you know, just solid backup iron sights or something where the battery life wasn't an issue and I didn't have to worry about it. But for now, this thing is sweet. This has been my main jam. I mean, for 2 years. This is usually, if I like you know, one of my buddies or whatever, if you were to see me, this is usually what I'm shooting or have with me. I haven't gotten to show it a lot of love lately because I've been working on so many other projects, truthfully. But this is probably this and some of my other Daniel Defense rifles are probably the most solid setups that I have. And I mean, they are just borderline almost over-engineered, but in a good way, not to the point where it's so complex that, you know, stuff breaks. So yeah, that's the best SHTF rifle, Geissele URGI, in my opinion.